Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
With Uber Reserve, you can book your Uber ride in advance, 90 days in advance. Perfect for all you forward thinkers and planning gurus. Reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. Uber Reserve. See Uber app for details.
Whole Foods Market has Thanksgiving gatherings covered. First things first, reserve your no antibiotics ever fresh whole turkey today, starting at $2.99 a pound. Or go with their organic spiral cut bone-in ham, full of seared-in flavor. For sides, choose Whole Foods Market grab-and-go platters. Go even further and get your whole meal catered. Just order online by November 26th. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
This is the Dragon's Lair in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport, an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
Hello and welcome to the Dragon's Lair podcast in association with Riverside Sports Bar. I'm Jamie and joining me as always is my co-host Gavin Thomas. Gavin, how are we?
I'm well, Jamie, I think. It's one of those weekends, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. We are joined by a very special guest this week, Gav.
We are indeed.
Yep, a former Dragons captain who made 98 appearances over 5 seasons for the club. He made his Wales debut against South Africa back in 2002 and went on to win 41 caps for Wales, captaining the team to his first Grand Slam in 27 years during the 2005 Six Nations. He also captained the British and Irish Lions for their 2005 tour to New Zealand in the test against Argentina. He is currently Director of Rugby at Haileybury College in Hertfordshire. Welcome to the pod, Michael Owen. How are we, Mike?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and the welcome. I'm looking forward to it.
No problem. We really appreciate you joining us. We've had a lot of requests from supporters asking to get you on. So, this is going to go down very well.
You don't have to flatten
it. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, they're going to love this. So we'll start as we always do with our guest, Mike. Tell us about your rugby journey. How and where did it all start for you?
My dad played rugby and stuff, and then took me along to, and my brother, and then took me along to mini rugby at Bay the Rugby Club. And then I played there from I think when I was about 6, and just absolutely loved it. I was really fortunate. I had some great coaches and great people around me. So it was like a guy called Wayne Yoxall and another guy called Gareth Morris were the 2 coaches, and they must have put in an unbelievable amount of hours to like organize fixtures and like take us wherever we were going. So I had like really fortunate to have great experience growing up as a kid playing rugby, and then played for Pontypridd schools as well. So Ponty schools under 11s, and then Ponty under 15s, and we got to the final of the DC Thomas Cup at under 11s, which was like an absolutely amazing day. I think we played it was still like the Welsh Cup final was still like the club sides, and it was still like a big event. So we played that day as under 11s, played the curtain raiser on Cardiff Arms Park, which was just an amazing thing to do, and was like really inspiring thing, I think, as well, to see that and then like stay behind afterwards and watch the cup final. Really special times. Then played with Ponty schools under 15s as well, and then that sort of way started to get a bit more serious, I guess. We won the Dewar Shield, so Gethin Jenkins in the same side as me, and we were in school together as well, so we came up through the ranks together. Then played for Wales under 16s. And then left Bay there at under 16s, which was quite a big thing to do. And then moved up the road, played for Pontypridd. I went to Ponty Youth, and we had an unbelievable time there. It was fantastic. So I had coaches, guys called Gary Lucas and Mike Oliver. And obviously it was like sort of going to an academy, but obviously it was like you sort of, all the players from our local area went along for like the trial. So I can remember going to the trial, and there was tons of people there. So just like a real big goal to get selected. And I got selected for that when I was sort of after under 16. So a few of us went there, Gethin, Jenkins as well. And we just had an absolutely brilliant time. So I think we probably caught a really nice wave of of rugby when it sort of turned professional, but still had like lots of the sort of amateur stuff. Was obviously it was that evolution.
Yeah.
We had like a great time. So we trained twice a week. And yeah, it was awesome. Like just had an absolutely brilliant time. So I had like 2 years playing there, and then made my debut for Pontypridd when I was still in school, so I was 18. And yeah, that was unbelievable. So I was got to play with like all my heroes really, I guess, like Dale McIntosh, Neil Jenkins, Paul John, Andrew Lamberton. So all the people that are from my area, Greg Prosser, all people who got capped, so went to the same school as me, so Brinklow Comprehensive School. Yeah, I got to play with all those guys, with all the people who I looked up to. There was a big wall of all like Welsh internationals in the school.
Yeah.
So it was like all in the hall, in the main reception area. There was pictures of everyone up there, all the people who've been junior internationals. So obviously see those pictures and sort of aspire to that. So lots of inspiration around, I guess. And yeah, it was amazing. And I think one of the big events for me, so I got picked for Wales in the 19s, and we played the FIRA World Cup, which was like yeah, it was just a World Cup basically. It was still evolving, but we played in it was in Wales in 1999, and I was in upper six, I think, and it was just unbelievable. So we played. It was on telly. So we played the first game against England at the Knoll, and we won quite well. And then they say it was like a crowd of 4,000. And the next game we played Argentina, and it was a crowd of 8,000. And then we won that game. And then Bridgend was like a sellout for the semi-final against South Africa, which we drew 10-all, but won on some sort of comeback. And then we played the final against New Zealand at Stradey Park. And it was an absolute sellout. I remember driving into the ground. There was like tons of people going there. It was just absolutely incredible to do that as a kid. And then yeah, we played against a pretty formidable New Zealand team. So I think they had, I probably might get a few wrong, but it was like, I think Tony Woodcock played. I think I know Jerry Collins and Richie McCaw played. Yeah, Ricky Flutie, Aaron Major, I think Mills Muliaina as well. So pretty formidable team.
Yeah.
We had like a number. I think there's a program knocking around somewhere on Twitter, I think. And it showed like yeah, Wales, I'd say we had like 8 or 9 internationals coming from that team. And New Zealand obviously had some of the best players ever. But yeah, pretty tough on that. But then yeah, just came through and played a Pontypridd then. Yeah, is that enough background or?
No,
I think they'll do.
Yeah.
going back to your dad, this is a weird. He played for Tredegar for a while, didn't he?
He played for everyone, my dad, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like Tredegar, Pontypool,
Yeah.
Pontypridd, Penarth, played he went like yeah, so
Yeah, he played with my dad at Tredegar in the
did he
early
really?
70s. Yeah, my dad was a prop called Peter Mills, and
I
he
got
played
yeah.
with Colin for a number of seasons.
Oh wow.
I got a picture on my phone from the 1972 side, and
Yeah.
your dad's next to my dad. My dad's about 6'1", and your dad's probably about 6 inches taller than
Yeah, my dad's like 6'8", yeah. Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Are we the same age as well?
No, I'm older than you.
I'm looking better on it tonight. And
No, no, I'm about 10 years older than you, I think.
yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So, who were your rugby heroes growing up then, Mike? I think you mentioned it earlier there,
Yeah.
didn't you? But any players you looked up to?
Neil Jenkins like was just
Yeah.
was a massive icon. So anyone that grew up watching Pontypridd. So one of the cool things you used to do when you had tickets to watch after you played for Ponty schools under 11s, under 15s, you have tickets for the game in the afternoon. So
Yeah.
like you go along to that with like a group of your friends and stuff, and it was brilliant. And we watched. I think it was after under 15s. Yeah, well, it would have been after we played an under 15 game, and we saw them beat Bath at Sardis Road. So I think that was like what was incredible for me was like, and then Neil Jenkins then was like was the massive hero of Pontypridd. So he was just a phenomenal player. I just remember I was so lucky when I came through in senior ranks. I'd never been. It was probably the most nervous I ever was in my whole career. Was going training with Ponty because they were like they had all these players who were like real like tough guys and
Yeah.
phenomenal players, and you didn't know what sort of welcome you're gonna get or whatever. And they were just all unbelievable to me. Just really kind and looked out for you and stuff. And you had obviously put expectations on you, but just really sort of looked after you. And I think I was really fortunate for that. But I remember meeting and Jinx that went to like I think it was when I started playing for Pontypridd, so I was like 18. He'd left to go to Cardiff, but it was the year of the Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
And then so it must have been 99 2000 season, and I remember meeting him in the local pub. So I was with my my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, and we went to the pub and like Neil Jenkins. I would just wanted to like interview Neil Jenkins, and he's like my hero. So asking
Yeah.
about the World Cup, I was all going, blah blah blah, like that. He ended up just asking me about me and asking about like what I was up to and how's it going at Ponty and good to see you doing well and all sorts of stuff like that. And it was just like, yeah, just amazing to get treated like that by someone who you revered so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like when we were kids, we'd play. So my junior school, Gwen Kelly, I had like an amazing teacher, a guy called Mr. Williams, who was like really kind, really like looked after us, and just like again saying, just took us to fixtures and organised whatever we needed. And we'd play on the
Mm.
local pitch, and Neil Jenkins would be kicking at the same time, and he'd
Yeah.
always. Because he was obviously trying to be like one of the best players in the world, we'd be playing games and he'd still be doing his kicking because he was in the
Mhm.
middle of his sessions. We'd finish his session, but yeah, you just sort of see him around and yeah, it was just really really amazing, really.
Oh, excellent. So you joined the Dragons from Pontypridd back in 2003, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And it was around about that time when Wales was transitioning into regional rugby. So how did the move to Ronnie Parade come about then, Mike? And what do you remember about that period? Because there was a massive fallout, wasn't there, when Welsh rugby turned regional?
yeah. So it was obviously it was a big at Pontypridd at the time. We had like a really good up and coming team. So I think the season before we won the Welsh
Yeah.
Cup, and got to the final of the Challenge Cup, and then five or six of us got capped for Wales out in South Africa, and then we had a pretty good season the next year, and then obviously the big change to regional rugby came about, and in that season I played for Wales A, and played quite well, and then Mike Ruddock was the coach. Basically the biggest difference to me, so I could have signed for the Warriors. But the Warriors, like it was just like with Lynn Howes, Lynn was, and obviously I probably didn't communicate well, but Lynn was like was really sort of I think you always like to keep you guessing. So it was like
Yeah.
a bit of like tough love, I guess, which definitely worked for us because we obviously had a period of unbelievable success under him. But then Mike Ruddock was sort of like when he was talking, he was like sort of really wanted to back me and really wanted to and said, you be on like one of the top contracts, you'd be a big player for us. We really want you to come. And then yeah, it was just I think that sort of backing was maybe what I was looking for. And maybe I felt at the time I wasn't probably getting it like from Lynn at the time, but like, that was just I think could have maybe been just like a communication thing and stuff. But yeah, and then I went to the Dragons and it was amazing for me because like Mike was good to his word and really backed me. And then he was like, yeah, he was unbelievable for my career really because he just showed yeah, like tons of faith in me. Like when I went to the Dragons, yeah, just backed me all the time. And I think for any player that goes an awful long way to making you perform at your best. So then obviously he went from the Dragons to Wales, and then that sort of yeah, just he just believed in me and had faith in me, and I think that allowed me to thrive, I guess.
Yeah. And you made your Wales debut against South Africa in Bloemfontein back in 2002.
Yeah.
So what are your memories of that day, Mike?
I just remember the night before the game. I think we did the jersey presentation the day before, and it was yeah, it was like Steve Anson came to see me and he didn't like use loads of words if he didn't need to. He
Yeah.
said, I think he said my first cap, so my like dream thing, and he just come in. He came to the room and said, "You're playing on Saturday, mate." Shook my hand, and that was it. So he just like left it at that. But then yeah, I had my jersey the night before the game, I think. And I just remember like putting it down on the bed and the thing, and I was never worried about being a one cap wonder or anything. I was more that's like if I have one cap, that's fine. I just want to make sure I do myself justice on the day and play as well
Yeah.
as I can. So yeah, and then I was like the thousandth cap as well, so that became like quite like a big thing in the week. So I had like more coverage maybe than you would have had anyway. So it was just like yeah, just things like that just sort of happened, and it's like quite funny. But yeah, it was. And then we played South Africa and we did quite well. I think we fell away at the end and lost by about 20 points, but I think we performed for a relatively young team quite well. So yeah, just
Yeah.
I'm just like delighted really to just to get that first cap and for it to go okay. But yeah, it was just pretty special having that Welsh jersey in my room and being like that's what all that sort of work has been for like a significant amount of time.
Was that always the ambition then? Like, kind of when you go into Ponty, where you're thinking, right, I want to play for Wales because
I think it
you're
was
playing
from
for
younger. It
Ponty.
was from younger than that, to be honest. Yeah, it would have been
Really?
like yeah, from when I was a kid. I think like just you're just surrounded by rugby and then just like
Yeah.
inspired. Think about that sometimes. Like why like I don't know, yeah, why did I think I could play for Wales? But I think what happens is like you have all that's your overriding goal, but then
Yeah,
at that
of course,
time,
yeah.
like we had like I think back and think about like the stuff that we had. It was phenomenal, really, because you had real good progression. So you had do a shield under 15s, then you went to county rugby, so it was like down to like five sides. And then Wales under 16s, so you have that taste of international experience. Then for me, I had 2 years under 18s and Wales schools. Um, so I was like basically playing international rugby all the time.
Yeah, from a young
From
age,
the age of like
essentially.
16,
Yeah,
or representative rugby from 15. So every year I was just taking those little steps on the way. And obviously today you need the conditioning and side and stuff is different. So you're not
yeah,
something to be the same. But then I think sometimes it's like swung a long way the other way, hasn't it? And then you lose out. But I had like, yeah, just thinking back, just absolutely phenomenal experiences. I played in the under 19 World Cup in the like in Wales where you had that big exposure. It was like a Welsh elite program. It was like the first one.
hmm
So you're part of that. Yeah, so just play with Ponte Youth, playing in big games like Welsh Cup finals and stuff, and playing at Downs Park. So yeah, just had like a really like amazing experience, really. And then 2 years under 21s and playing for Wales A Wales. So you just had that real sort of steady progression.
yeah. Rather than being thrown into it, like you were building up to it all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah. And I still played really young, and
Yeah.
I think I was like 21 when I got my first cap. So
Mm.
pretty young. But yeah, but I played. I think I'm trying to think how many games I would have played, but I would have played about 50 or 60 games, um, for Pontypridd, and obviously we went into that like Challenge Cup and things like that. So we had some good exposure in terms of like some of the rugby we were playing. So it was yeah, a really fortunate thing. But I think as a young player, I definitely had an awful lot of good experiences and going into training camps and things like that and having good coaches and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was like yeah, really good.
Yeah, good stuff. So I suppose 2004 was the real breakthrough year for you, wasn't it, Mike, with Wales? Because that was the year in which Mike Ruddock took over as head coach for Wales. You
Yeah.
mentioned him earlier. You had a very good relationship with Mike Ruddock. What was it about Mike that you just clicked with so much, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it was just the simple fact for me as a player was just that he just like had like faith in me all the way. And I think like when I look through my career, all the best rugby I played would have been when coaches like that. So it was like I think like going back to like so I remember the Wales under 16 coach was a guy called like Roger Good. And he was like really nice to me. It was a guy with the under 18s, Richard Jones was like the forwards coach, who was again just like really positive. And I think every time you had that, for me, it just like helped you. So Mike didn't really, it wasn't so much him telling me, oh, do this or do that. It was more just sort of giving you the license to just like go out and play and not be, I guess like he gave me that thing to not play with any fear.
Yeah,
So it was that, and I think we had really good grounding with like um Steve Hansen, Scott Johnson, and Andrew Hall with Wales. Obviously, we were losing a lot, but like chipping away at it and got better and better eventually. And then yeah, just it was in a yeah, really amazing like period of time. And then I think like having that like so that the stuff at Pontypridd where you sort of had to be tough and work hard, and then having the stuff with Wales where it was like about skill and about being bold, I think. And then I went to Mike and it's sort of like a perfect time then really to have
yeah,
someone who just like showed like tons of faith in me. And yeah, and I performed at my best then. So I sort of broke into the Welsh team at the end of Steve Hansen's like time with Wales.
mm,
And then played, so I think I played I think I was sub for the first two games of 2004 Six Nations, and then I had three starts in a row and performed really, I probably like, and in that period probably played some of the best rugby in my career. So yeah, I think
yeah,
we played France, Italy, no, France, England away, and Italy at home. And I had like yeah, like three like really good games in different ways. And then yeah, and then Mike Ruddock came in and it carried on like that. So it was like yeah, just really yeah, that was the biggest thing Mike gave to me. Just had like massive belief in me, massive faith in me, and yeah, and helped me a lot.
You were a Ruddock type forward as well, weren't you? Because he liked mobile forwards. He liked blokes who could get round the park. He liked blokes who put a shift in, and you were very
Yeah.
much of that ilk.
Yeah, hopefully, I think it was just that's probably what it is. Like, so Mike, but yeah, Mike was just like he kept the game simple and stuff as well, and always tried to get like a good set piece platform and stuff like that. And yeah, just yeah, it was amazing. I love playing for the Dragons. It was brilliant. It was a really good good time there in the main, and it was yeah, it was good.
Yeah, good stuff. So we have to talk about the 2005 Grand Slam, don't we? Wales's first Grand Slam in 27 years, and it's always been my personal favorite Grand Slam.
Mine.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's just wonderful just thinking about it now. You took over the Wales captaincy after Garth Thomas broke his thumb in Paris.
Yeah,
What are your memories then, Mike, of that campaign and then lifting that trophy in Cardiff on our famous day? It
yeah,
was
just
just magical, wasn't it?
yeah, it was absolutely incredible, really. The whole campaign, though, because obviously, like I think each game it was like a little bit of a story to it, I guess. And then yeah, obviously the first game against England. I think we played in the autumn before.
Mm,
Played really well. We played probably like we played New Zealand in Cardiff and lost by a point. But we played unbelievable and we stood toe to toe with them. We didn't sort
I
of
remember that, yeah.
like that was an unbelievable game. That was the best. Like I think probably one of my favorite moments in rugby. Like when I think it was Wyn Evans, the goal compare guy, walks onto the pitch singing "Bread of Heaven." And I can remember that was the first time anything like that had ever happened. I remember standing there and the stadium was absolutely electric. You could just feel like
Yeah,
from the hairs
Oh,
back your neck standing up, and you just felt like 10 feet tall facing the haka and everything. And yeah, we probably should have won that game, but like the fact that we performed at such a high level was incredible. And then we went into the England game, and I just think we just needed to get that win. And we managed to beat England. It's obviously a really tight game. But Gavin Henson obviously had like a tremendous game. And yeah, we just like one managed to get a win, and then we smashed Italy, and then out in France. And I think we were down at halftime, obviously 15-6. And then yeah, and then we just came out second half and just fired I remember hanging on at the end and just like running as hard as you could to try and chase back and do that, and just yeah, we just hang on and then smashed Scotland as well, and then the Island Day
yeah,
was just like yeah, that was absolutely incredible day, wasn't it? I just remember driving into the city and there was more people there, and it was a beautiful day. It was
it was,
beautiful
yeah.
by outside Cardiff Castle, and I think afterwards you saw obviously you don't realize everything at the time, but I think one of the things that really struck home, they did a video for us. Like I think Alan Carter did like a montage of all the stuff that had happened, and they were like some of the troops in Basra, like with their Welsh flags and going crazy when we won and stuff. And then the scenes in like the square in Cardiff where all the people were climbing the trees and like just to get a space and get to view the big screen. So yeah, just like incredible times. And yeah, just to do that, I think yeah, it was I think Welsh rugby been going through quite a long period of like tough times, and then that was obviously the starting point of what's been like a pretty much a golden era, I think,
mm,
hasn't it? Up until um maybe like even like to the last World Cup, I suppose. And you probably got 18 years
yeah.
pretty much unprecedented success the Wales have had. I think like yeah, like 5 or 6 championships or something, and like World Cup semi-finals, and obviously just yeah, just amazing to have that 2005. Uh, yeah, it's amazing, genuinely amazing times.
So the France game is the one that always sticks in my head because we looked dead and buried for a bit.
Yeah.
We did,
D
yeah.
d You didn't think that, though, I'm assuming, Michael. You
No,
would
I
just
thought
say,
it was really. I think after in the press conference after, um, they said because I think Alfie had to go to hospital or something, and they said there's like a massive press conference, and they've gone, "What did you say to the boys at halftime?" Like, and they obviously referring to Mike Ruddock, and I've like thought they were just a few words of wisdom sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, it was just I think in the first half, it's obviously in a team, it's really different, isn't it? If you like you can have within a team, like people can feel like they played really badly and be really
Mm,
deflated, and then people can feel like they're playing okay and be all right. So in that game, I felt like I played okay in the first half, and I felt quite positive, and I felt like I personally felt I'd done okay. And so I
mm,
didn't, you had like maybe a slightly different perspective.
yeah.
So just, I think probably just saying simple things like just keep hold of the ball and let's see what happens and then let's go for it. We were only 9 points down as well. So even though France had sort of thrown a lot at us, we were still only 9 points down. And obviously like Martin Williams scored 2 great tries and stuff. So that was, yeah, just a massive. But I remember the thing with when we had the tap penalty, we just had like real. I think this is when you play at your best, when you're just instinctive and you're really sharp and quick, so you almost like win the race. And I think Martin Williams' second try scores from a tap penalty, and I think what I'd taken one, I just took it quickly the one before and got tackled just short, and they weren't 10. They give another penalty, and then Martin's taken it quickly and scored, and it's just like we weren't even thinking about slow it down, kick for the corner. It was just like
No.
right, we're on them, let's score, and I
Yeah.
think that was the sort of attitude we had at that time in the games, and it was just we didn't have that doubt or hesitation, and that's when you play the
Yeah.
best.
That's what won that game, I think. It was just it wasn't frenetic, it wasn't panicky, but it was played at such intense pace, so France
Yeah.
couldn't live with it.
Yeah, for that little period, yeah, and then I think
Yeah,
they had it was like Shane Williams and Rougerie had like a real battle, didn't he? So Rougerie was massive and Shane was smaller.
yeah,
I think in the first half, Rougerie like hands Shane off or runs through
yeah. He
him.
steamrolled in him, didn't he, a
Yeah, and
few
then
times?
second
Yeah,
half, Shane is stepping him, and so it's like it was a really amazing contrast. And I think at the end as well, like the defensive shift we put in at the end, like everyone's just like
mm,
pressing
Yeah.
against them, really running hard to like desperately hold on at the end. So yeah,
no.
really amazing,
And
amazing moments.
I think that's one of my. I think and I've been watching Wales a long time, and I think that's probably my top three favorite games, Wales games as a fan, just because
Yeah,
it felt like Royal Rovers moment when we were
yeah,
coming back, and then our
yeah,
last 10 minutes when the French threw everything at us.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
say it as a you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, it was just one of those games that lives in the memory. 20
yeah.
years on, I
It's
still say.
it's really amazing when people say stuff like that too, because obviously you play a small part in it, but it's yeah, it's really nice you give people those sorts of memories, and at the time you're not really conscious that you're a part of something so special.
Mm.
And yeah, it's pretty. I remember them saying like I think they sold out the Welsh jerseys in that period of time as well. So yeah, it's pretty amazing really to be a part of that.
By the
Yeah.
time you came to the game against Ireland, did you think you were going to win the Grand Slam?
Yeah, I don't know why, but I didn't have any nerves at all about that game. I was just excited and just like I remember we trained, I think the day before the game, and we just had a brilliant time. We were just playing like touch rugby in training and stuff, and yeah, just it was a really good fun and a good laugh really, and we were just like just confident and expressing ourselves, and it was just all right really, I think, and we went out there. I think. I remember like just trying to say like just make sure we don't let ourselves down. Just make sure if we lose, we lose, but like not from us being sort of like choking on the day or whatever. Just make sure we perform and then let's see what happens. I think that was sort of the attitude we took in, and obviously scored some great tries and some big moments like Gavin scoring that try from a charge down and stuff like that. Just yeah, just phenomenal really. So it's yeah, pretty good memories.
Yeah, that charge down. There's another one of those things just get etched into my
Yeah, yeah,
brain.
yeah. Unbelievable. I think my wife had bet on Gavin to score first try as well, so she was happy.
Gee, I bet you got decent odds for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably like at 30 to 1 or something there.
It was a great Grand Slam 2005, and we played some really good rugby, didn't we? Some really
Yeah,
good, attractive running rugby under Mike Ruddock. Gav, can
yeah.
you remember where you were when Wales won the Grand Slam in 2005?
I do indeed. So I lived in Hampshire at the time, and I was at my then in-laws' house, all of whom hated rugby. And I was watching it, and they were annoyed because I couldn't see the football scores.
Yeah, I remember watching it in the Haven on the Hill, which is a working man's club in Cyfeillan. Upstairs on the big screen, it was a big deal. They didn't have many matches up on the big screen, but they had on the big screen, faggots and peas half time. Oh, those were the days.
I
Those were the
missed
days.
I missed that because I live in England. They don't make a big deal of international games. And when I say, oh, like,
Yeah,
can you used to get like a stew or whatever at half time, people look at me like I'm insane.
Yeah, it's a big deal in Wales, isn't it?
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So apart from your debut and the 2008 Grand Slam, any other moments in a Wales jersey, mate, that stands out to you? Any favourite
I think
moments?
that New Zealand match,
Yes.
obviously you spoke about as well, was like that was
Yeah.
massive. So yeah, so they are probably the three biggest ones for me, really. Yeah, they were pretty yeah, just amazing moments, really, and privileged to be part of it.
Yeah. So you were selected by the British and Irish Lions for their 2005 tour to New Zealand, and you had the honour of captaining the side for the match against Argentina in Cardiff. So what was the Lions experience like for you then, Mike? How do you
Yeah, it
look
was
back on your
brilliant. Yeah,
Lions?
it was just yeah, a bit I don't know, it's a bit surreal really, I think, because you just
Mm.
Yeah, not I'd only ever thought about. I obviously think about playing for the Lions, but it was more for me all about playing for Wales.
Yeah.
And then getting to play for the Lions was incredible. And yeah, just a real privilege. And the tour was obviously a tough tour. In terms of like Clive Woodward, I think tried to do it like quite differently and had a bigger squad and did all that sort of stuff. And we stayed in separate places and things like that. But it was still like an amazing experience and got to meet some really good people. And yeah, just had a great tour. Unfortunately, didn't make the test team for the matches in New Zealand. But yeah, it was a brilliant experience, something really special to have been a part of.
And what was Sir Clive Woodward like to work with?
It didn't have that much to do with him, to be honest, because he wasn't really he was very much like a manager rather than a head coach sort of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was like, yeah, I think you got to admire him for trying to do things a little bit differently,
Mm,
and doing how he thought they could work. I don't think, yeah, they probably didn't get the best, unfortunately, didn't get the best out of that group of players that they had.
No.
And we didn't really, yeah, like fire on the tour, but also played like a pretty special New Zealand team as well. But
yeah.
yeah, we never really got going. I don't know if that was down to having such a big squad and then not sort of having that cohesion and stuff. But yeah, but we never really got going and never showed up the best of what we could do, which is a shame. But
I don't think he ever knew his test side either, did he?
no, I
I
think
wasn't in the camp. You clearly were, but
yeah.
it never felt from outside that he knew what his best 22 guys were.
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties probably like England had been obviously maybe when he took the job, he expecting to have a number of English players
Yeah,
being like, but then they probably sort of started to come down after that. Well, definitely had after that 2003 World Cup, they sort of weren't still like
no.
moving forward. So then probably made selection a bit more difficult. And then Wales winning the Grand Slam probably didn't help because he ended up picking a load of Welsh players without maybe not expecting
Yeah.
to do that. And then yeah, just never really. I don't think we ever really got that cohesive as a group or cohesive as a team really on the rugby side. So it was yeah, but it was obviously an incredible thing to experience and incredible
Oh, yeah.
to do.
Yeah, it was a tough old tour, but New Zealand were insatiable at that time, and Dan
Yeah,
Carter was so, so good, wasn't he,
yeah. I think it
in
was
that
like the second
series?
test, wasn't it? I think he had like one of the
Yeah,
best games of his career. So yeah,
yeah,
It was a great New Zealand side, like, and
it was.
yeah,
yeah,
I think even if Woodward had been even more knew what he was doing a bit more in terms of what he wanted, I still think it would have been very
yeah. They
hard
were
to
probably
get
too good,
anything.
wouldn't it? Like history would tell you that as well, wouldn't it? But yeah, it was yeah, it was tough in some ways, but it was still like an amazing experience.
And you are one of a hand, and there's it's a couple of hundred people, but you are one of those people who represented the British Irish Lions.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty special isn't it, to have that. So it's yeah, definitely something to look back on with pride. And they sent us through the caps and stuff as well, because I think we had never done it before. But then you go, and I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, so you got sent through a cap, which was yeah,
I
pretty
can
special.
imagine.
That's special, isn't it? That's really
Yeah, yeah,
special.
really special. Yeah, so they did a big campaign, I think, to send caps to all the Lions and give everyone a number. So I got it like 726. So yeah, so pretty cool.
Oh, excellent. So when you left the Dragons, you went to North London to play for Saracens.
Yeah,
And then in 2010, you hung up your boots at the age of just 29, very young age to retire.
yeah,
So how
yeah.
difficult a decision was that for you, Mike? Because you had some issues with your knee, didn't you, if I remember?
Yeah, so I went to Saracens and that was fantastic. So Eddie Jones was the coach and he signed me. And yeah, he signed me as a senior player and sort of really backed me and was yeah, just like for me, he was fantastic in terms of
Yeah.
that. And it was really exciting. I had a really good welcome at Saracens. And yeah, just had a great time as a family and stuff as well. So it was a really nice place to live and really enjoyed all aspects of it really. And then I got injured, so I think I played pretty much every game up until Christmas. And I think the first game in 2009, I injured my knee. And then I thought they thought it was just a meniscus thing, and I was recovering quite well. And then I had like an operation, and then when I came back from the operation, I re-injured it. And then another operation, and in that time, Eddie Jones had left, Brendan Bent had come in. And then I got released from Saracens. And then when I was going to find the new club, so I went over to Agen in France. I went to
Mm.
the Ospreys. I went to Lyon as well. So I had a few like potential offers, but then I failed the medical. I think with the Ospreys and failed the medical with Agen, and then it just like sort of petered out a little bit,
Mm.
and yeah, I hadn't like recovered from it, so it was just sort of yeah, I think yeah, it's just a very difficult position to be in then, and then yeah, finished. But it was like it was in a way, I think like obviously I think a blessing in disguise in lots of ways in terms of your health and stuff like that. So I remember speaking to Dave Pemberton when I went to the Ospreys, and he was like talking me through stuff and just saying like, look, like you won't, like being able to like walk around with your kids and have a kick about with your kids is probably quite important as well. So yeah, so I don't regret my
Yeah.
decision. I was obviously my career I started when I was 18 as well. So like I say, I played my first game. So I had someone had said to me when I was 16, that'd be your career, I would have bitten your hand off. So it was, I didn't retire. I didn't feel like I had that many regrets. Obviously, is more you can always achieve, I guess, and more you could always do. But I was pretty happy and pretty contented. And I think I was fortunate in the fact that I was married, had 3 children. She had lots of stuff to turn your attention
Yeah.
to. It wasn't just rugby wasn't, it was obviously a big part of my life, but it wasn't the be all and end all because I had other stuff. So then I was able to yeah, and I was pretty, like I say, contented with what I'd done in my career, and then able to go and do some new stuff when I retired, and yeah, really enjoyed that. So it wasn't too bad in the end, even though it could have been tough.
Yeah.
It worked out all right.
Yes, worked out fine for you. You had a
Yeah,
fine career, like not many players have achieved what you
No,
did, Mike.
yeah,
Captain
no.
the Lions, so there's a lot to be proud of, isn't there? Even though it
Won a
did end
Grand
early.
Slam.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's
not bad.
yeah. It was good.
probably in the best Dragons team as well, from a
Yeah,
Yeah, we did
Dragons
all right at the
point of view.
start, didn't we, with the Dragons?
Yeah, well, I think your
First,
period was the golden age of it, really,
yeah,
wasn't it?
first two
yeah,
seasons. Yeah, we did. I think we finished third and fourth in the league, so it was.
that's right.
Mm.
People forget that because it was such a long time ago. People do
Yeah,
forget that
yeah, yeah.
actually
And
when
but
we
I
first
think
started, we were a good team.
yeah, I think in 2006, I think we got the semi-finals of the
Challenge Cup, isn't it?
yeah, or 2007, yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it
Was
was
that the Gloucester semi-final?
no, that was we played
No, it was
Claremont,
later. That was.
No.
Claremont and lost
Yeah.
about. I think we lost by
Oh yes, yeah.
well beaten, lost by about 20 points, but
Mm.
yeah, it was I
That was a
enjoyed
hell of a Claremont side at that time, though,
yeah,
wasn't
they
it,
were
as
pretty
well?
good, yeah.
Yeah.
We will talk a bit about Dragons later, but I want to come on to Wales now. Uh, so Wales played Australia on Sunday afternoon. It finished 52 points to 20, so it's now a record 11th Test defeat in a row, 8 tries to 2. It was a pretty tough watch. Mike, what were your thoughts on that game on Sunday?
Yeah, just really tough, and I feel really sorry for the players and stuff. So I played a few of the games in 2003 when we lost those 10 matches as well. So the previous one equal, I think, previous worst record for
Yeah,
Wales. But I think the standard of international rugby is just like on is going up and up as well. I think like when you look at the strength of well, almost all the teams like playing this autumn international series is really tough, and obviously Wales lost a significant amount of experience, so it is a really tough time. And I think Welsh rugby as a whole has been going through some tough times. But yeah, I guess they've just got to sort of uh, dust themselves down and go again because it's a really tough place to be. But yeah, those young players got to try and learn as well, and try and get better and keep going away and working hard. And obviously, like for us, so if you look at that 2005 team, I think a majority of those boys were involved in that 2003 run of defeats, and then 18 months later, he managed to turn it into a grand slam, and that's obviously really tough to do. And I think it's got harder and harder with the professionalism and stuff, and how good the other teams are at the moment. But yeah, I guess like we've just got to keep the faith, and just keep going. You haven't got another choice, so it's just.
No.
Um, yeah, that's all they can do, and just and is like you say, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of talented players in Wales, a lot of like good young players, and sometimes it's hard if you get thrust into an international arena without, especially the caliber of players Wales have had in the last sort of post 2008, I guess, or 2010 to 2021 2023 players like Dan Biggar, Sam Warburton, Justin Tipuric, this goes on then, Alan Jones, Jonathan Davis. They've had some real top level players. So
yeah,
I think it's hard when you haven't got those players around to sort of
Yeah.
guide and and help people along. But yeah, but Wales, they just got to keep going and keep like trying to get better. And I think from a WRU point of view, they got to try and put a plan together, make sure they get that age grade stuff right. 'Cause I think from what everything you read, it hasn't been.
No.
I think they've taken some positive steps towards rectifying that. Like the last under 20s World Cup, whilst not totally successful in terms of results, I think they were very competitive and like stood toe to toe with a lot of the good sides, and there was a number of like really talented kids coming through there. So you just gotta just make sure you just get that pathway right. And yeah, just keep going.
There was a stat I saw during the game that the Welsh 23 had 11 more caps than the free pundits on TNT. So there was Dan
Yeah,
Bigger and Warburton and Jamie Roberts,
yeah,
and they had 11 less caps between the three of them than the
yeah,
entire Welsh
yeah.
22.
That's pretty yeah, it's really tough in it. But I think like when you look at like I thought like in the summer, Australia, I thought like Dewey Lake was absolutely outstanding and he's
Hmm.
like
Yeah, he
potentially
was.
world-class player. I thought that Archie Griffin had a fantastic test series. Obviously the scrum was pretty good today as well.
Hmm.
Even on a difficult day. And yeah, like Jack Morgan, Tommy Raffel, there's some really top performing players. Aaron Wainwright's been outstanding, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Tom obviously losing Thomas Williams and Mason Grady's a big blow.
Mm.
But I think like it is really tough times for Wales, no doubt about it, and for Welsh rugby as a whole. But I think everyone's got to come together and really sort of try and come up with a plan and try and find the best way forward and show some strength. And I guess that's the most difficult thing to do when you're in a tough situation.
And I think the point you were making was about your pathway, that you came through competitive rugby, competitive rugby, competitive rugby, and by the time you were playing international rugby, you'd already been playing club rugby a number of years, and you played for
Yeah,
Wales. And you Cam Winnett's played 36 games of professional rugby. I think
yeah,
Archie Griffin's played 22 professional
yeah.
games of
That's
rugby.
really tough in it to be,
Yeah.
and that's I think. Obviously, I totally understand why Wales have tried to do what they've done with those young players, and obviously they are going to benefit from that experience, even if it doesn't feel like at the minute. In the long term, they will. But I think like they missed out like that middle group of players. I mean, so you think for me, like think about some I don't know like someone like Jared Evans, who's like a fantastic player and obviously has learned his trade, but he's played like I don't know, 200 plus games probably, and
Hmm.
all that learning you've got, we're playing 10, then that's like someone like that. I'm not sure there's like tons of examples, but those players are generally going to be better than the players who are younger, unless you have some
Yeah.
absolute like stellar potential. So I think it is really tough in it to do that. But like they've been like Cam Winnett as an example has been outstanding. I think really in his time
Mm.
playing for Wales, isn't he? And like Archie Griffin as well at times has been as well. But it is tough, and I think yeah, Wales just need to if they think they're on the right, obviously it's like I guess for the WRU, if they think they're on the right path, then keep going with it. And then try and just like get a group of players that can compete on the world stage. But it is tough because the standard is going up and up and up all the time. You look at like French team, South African team, New Zealand is some very, very good teams out there in there. So it's it's pretty challenging, it's an unforgiving environment.
And the issue is we've got the players we've got, isn't it? There isn't
Yeah.
really a plan B. Because if you say these players aren't ready, who is it you select? Who are the
Yeah, but I
ones you
think
usually
that's
select
sometimes
and
where
say,
they've like that's sometimes in it, I guess where those players who are 26, 27, that's
mm,
probably like the age profile you want for your players at international level.
yeah. Well,
Um,
Jared Evans is a good example. I think they've given there, at Quinn's currently. Yeah.
yeah, so it's tough in it, but it's like I think it's just you got to try and show that strength and try and come up with a plan to try and move Welsh rugby forward. But Welsh rugby has got a lot of challenges as well. But yeah, I guess you just got to try and find a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Warren Gatton is coming in for a lot of stick from former players and from the Welsh public. So it's just 6 wins now in 23 matches. The second stint with Wales is proving troublesome, let's be honest. We know that WRU probably can't afford to sack him now at this stage. Gatland has offered his resignation once already after the Italy game, but he was rejected by Abby Tierney. Where do you stand on Warren Gatland then, Mike? Do you think that we need to stick with him
Uh,
now, or do you think it's time for change?
I think Sam Warburton spoke very eloquently today after the game when he was saying about like they've got to ask Warren Gatland if he wants to carry on, and that's the first place to start, I
Mm,
think. And obviously all the factors that you put in there as well. It's pretty challenging, but like it's not going to get any easier for Wales. They've got like the Six Nations obviously is super competitive and super tough. They got South Africa
yeah,
next, so it's not getting any easier. So I think they just gotta, like I say, you just gotta be. They need bold leadership, don't they? And they need someone to stand up. And I guess Warren Gatland's got like the serious pedigree, hasn't he, in terms of as a coach. But yeah, I think that question of if he wants to start, wants to carry on, that's probably a good place to start.
yeah,
And then go from there and come up with a plan. But I think it's that you have got to have that, not just like looking at the top level for Wales, but looking at the like right the way through. And obviously that's going to take a number of years to come to fruition. But then try and be as competitive as they possibly can in the meantime at senior level. But it's definitely going to be a challenging time in it for Welsh
yeah.
rugby.
Oh, it is.
We had this discussion when Dragons sacked Doyle Flanagan last month. As you know, it's all well and good saying this is a results based thing, but my question always is who replaces them?
Yeah,
Because
I
if
was
you
really
don't
sad
have
to
a
see. I really liked loads of the stuff that Di Flanagan had done. I really liked it when he came in and he spoke really positively and spoke in like an upbeat fashion. I think the Dragons is maybe similar to like to Wales as well. It's a tough job in it because if you look,
Yeah,
I don't know where the Dragons sit in the budget table for the URC, but it wouldn't it'd be quite near the bottom. You would have thought, wouldn't you?
it is they're just above zebra. The
Right.
Welsh
So
regions are
and
just
it's
above zebra.
4.5. All the
so
Yeah.
regions around 4.5 is a
yeah.
salary cap. So
So
yeah,
but they're all that's the bottom of the URC, I guess.
Yeah,
So
the
like,
zebra on 3.5, and then I think you're looking at Connacht and Ulster, who are on about 5.5, maybe a bit more.
more than
yeah.
that, I'd say. A lot
Yeah,
more than
no,
that.
they are. I think you're right with
Yeah,
some.
So then that's where if you're looking at like potential versus performance, the Dragons are probably performing in line with where with the budget. I know it's not a very nice thing to say,
no,
No,
you're
it's
right. It's
no,
but it
you're
absolutely fine.
absolutely
probably
right.
that
Agree.
probably is the truth, isn't it? So then
Yeah,
anything you do, like the Ospreys last year finishing eighth, was a pretty
it
remarkable
was.
achievement, really, wasn't it? And get into the
Yeah,
quarterfinals of
Uh,
the Challenge Cup. And then I think it's like you just got to try and move your club forward, haven't you? I think all the time, and it'd be the same with Wales. You got to try and put stuff in place, and I don't know, but I don't know what the pathway is. I think there's like the Welsh Colleges League is like some good stuff about around that, and their schools and colleges league. And the Dragons seem to have been bringing through a few boys as well, and they've got a
yeah,
pretty good crop at the minute, haven't they? I think have just come through like sort of like
yeah.
20, under
well,
20 boys. So
yeah.
that's
There's at least 10 good players under age 23 in the Dragon setup.
yeah,
The problem is they don't really have, like you were talking about, that core of older players. They don't have
yeah.
that core of older
And
players
that's
really to
and
hold
that's
them
where
together.
yeah, and that's where you could yeah, that's where I guess like they're talking about trying to increase the funding to the regions and things like that, aren't they? So it's like that's part of that plan. But I think that's what Welsh Rugby just needs that. I think Alan Jones said in the press this week that you just need a bit more from the WRU and need to have that plan and a clear like way forward. And then yeah, just be able to you're going to have bad like tough times. I think even when I think Wales went on a bad losing streak, didn't they? The last time Warren Gatland was here, I think it was I don't know 2013 or 2012. They had
Yeah,
lost like eight or something in
yeah,
a
lost 8 in a
row.
row.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
had a bad run. Um, so yeah, you've got to have that, I guess, that strength of leadership and character and have a real plan to sort of move forward. But it is tough. It's like you look at the standard in the URC as well. That's like gone through the roof as well, hasn't it? In
oh yeah,
terms of
It's a tough league. It's such a tough
yes,
league.
it's such a tough league, isn't it? So for the Dragons and the Dragons have this year, like they've had a few like near misses, haven't they, in terms of getting over the line. But it's really tough, and you've got to try and get that stuff right off the pitch, haven't you, and
yeah,
get good crowds
yeah.
in, and then get your academy right, get your training ground right, do all the things you can sort of control, and then yeah, and then try and move forward. But it's pretty challenging.
And
So
Dragons have done that. Dragons got the business right.
Yeah.
sadly, fans don't care whether or not. You've got your business, right? They
No, but
want they
that's
want
all the
teams to
time in
win.
it as well. I think it's like once you get it, you can't. I don't think there's much you can do to have an instant fix. So you can't go from being,
No,
the Dragons are not going to go from being like sort of down the bottom for the URC for maybe the last 5 or 6 years, and then all of a sudden be top four. It's going to
no.
take slow, gradual. You've got to change the whole culture, and because you start getting that thing about like being the bottom ranked team, being the like it's got to have more positive messages, and that's why I
Yeah.
admired about Di Flanagan. He was trying really hard to be positive all the time and trying to say about having pride in playing for the Dragons. And that's the thing I think, like, when I reflect back on playing, like being lucky enough to play for Wales and play for the Dragons, is pretty awesome. And sometimes I think for the supporters and stuff as well, it's hard in it to follow a team that's losing, but just
Yeah.
like try and realize how special it is to have like a professional sports team in your area, and representing your region and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's a difficult one with the Dragons because off the field, I think the club are in a really good position, and they do own Ronnie Parade now, so they own
Yeah,
the entire site, they own the stadium. That's massive. The
yeah,
others are leasing. So
yeah,
for us to own our own ground is, from a commercial revenue point of view, it's really
yeah.
important. I
There's
think
a,
off the field, we've got good people in place, good
Yeah,
owners. It's
yeah,
just they can't get it right on the field, Mike, and it's losing week in, week out. That's the
it's tough.
frustrating thing for me. The
Yeah,
foundation is there, but we can't get a winning
yeah,
side out on the field. We just can't
yeah.
get it right, and that's the bone of frustration for a lot of Dragons fans, I
That's
think.
probably the type of thing on it where, like, when you think, obviously they go a long time ago, but like when Newport side, like they made those big signings in there and they signed those like the Lotus Africans and stuff.
Percy
Teichmann and all
Montgomery and
that.
people.
Yeah.
And Percy Montgomery, and I think,
Yeah.
like, remember, and they had that stuff in it with the new who let the dogs out,
Newport.
Joseph
Yeah.
Magnan. Yeah, it was, but it was like, it was unbelievable, that, wasn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a transformation, and obviously it's probably easier to do that in the Welsh League. But
Mm.
yeah, that's the type of thing you need to get behind it, and people will get behind it if you can find a way to be successful. And whether
Yeah.
that is signing like an overseas star, or whether, like, whatever you do, if you've got to get progress that those players coming through, haven't you, to
You're
try
absolutely
and
right. And
bridge the
Rodney
gap. They
Parade to be
do,
packed
so
every
yeah,
weekend. Cram packed.
if they're doing like a number of, they got the building blocks in place, they will come. It's just like, what is success for the Dragons, isn't it? Like, if you're looking at that budget stuff, if they're like 14th, 15th, whatever, as a playing budget, if you finish anything above that, you pro you've probably been successful on the field, innit? Which is not very easy for the fans to
No.
listen to. But if you do that, you are outperforming expectations in many ways, and you. So it'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I guess Philo TT has got like really good pedigree, hasn't he? And spoken very highly of from when he was at the Ospreys. So hopefully he can have
Yeah.
a different perspective on it, and hopefully Di Flanagan's not lost to Welsh rugby as well, because obviously he would have learned a
No.
lot from his time at the Dragons and seemed like a real good man as well.
He is. So we had him on the pod, didn't we, Gav?
Yeah.
And he was really open,
That's
upfront, honest. He's a
definitely,
lovely
yeah.
bloke.
It's obviously
Really
a
good.
sign of what you like as a fella if you come on the pod, isn't it? So I
Yeah,
think,
and he didn't have to. To be fair, he didn't
yeah,
have to. Yeah, yeah, I know where you're
illustrious,
going with that one, Mike.
an
Yeah,
illustrious,
absolutely.
an illustrious
we,
company.
we
Yeah.
we only have the best guest.
We do. We've had some bloody good guests,
Yeah, I saw a
actually.
few of them. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, for a small independent pod, we're doing all right. And we
Yeah,
got you on you, so
yeah.
yeah, we're not doing
Thank
too
you.
bad at all. So
You're
you still
our
keep in
first British
touch?
Lions captain.
Yeah, exactly. So you do still keep in touch with the Dragons then, Mike, over there
Yeah,
in
yeah, I
England. You're
follow
looking
it.
at results
I
and
love
stuff, yeah?
following it. It's always a really interesting thing because I obviously remember being there and doing well and not doing well, and yeah, it's just
Yeah,
interesting. So you're still coaching and stuff. You're still interested in the game and
yeah,
interested in yeah, in Welsh rugby, I guess. Well, still like a fan, and you wanna you'd have all your ideas and stuff on you, but it's just yeah, you're just like a fan now, not involved in it. So I'm reluctant to, like, sort of um it's really hard, and sometimes if you in the media, not to be controversial, but it's really hard to criticize coaches because there are people out
Mhm.
there putting themselves in the firing line and having a go.
mm.
So it's yeah, it's not an easy job, is it, to try and like lead people and galvanize them to try and to do better. So
I've always said, and I've said this for years, I think coaching the Dragons is one of the toughest jobs in pro rugby. Honestly, I really
yeah,
believe this because you haven't got the resources, you
yeah,
haven't got the budget. You got that losing culture which you go over to. Honestly, I don't
Yeah,
envy anyone who has
yeah,
to take
that,
over the
yeah,
Dragons. It's a bloody tough job.
yeah. It's a tough job in it, but I think that yeah, hopefully, like I say, hopefully you always live in hope, don't you? And it's like you never like get those like good young players come through, um, get your coaching team right, and like you say, if they're doing all those things off the field, that is a
Yeah.
start. That is a solid starting point to move forward as an organization.
No.
Coaching is difficult anyway, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you can put everything into
the best
getting
way to be.
players ready and everything else, but the minute that whistle goes,
Yeah,
you have no impact.
best the best way to be a good coach is to have good players. It's definitely to
It does
Uh,
help that you got
yeah,
good
yeah,
players.
that makes it that is ultimately, I bet if you looked at like you look at like the squads that are at the top, they've just got like you're talking about, it's not far off a Springbok team, is it, for some of the South
no,
African franchises? So like it's pretty tough.
yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna
yeah,
help. Yeah. That's gonna
and
help you to do better if you had
oh,
that
absolutely. I'm not a
Yeah,
great,
just a bit.
I'm not a great coach. I have a perfectly good under 11s team, but not great
yeah,
coach. But I reckon if you put me in charge of Leinster, I'd
yeah,
finish top four.
yeah. I'm not so sure about that.
You're
Yeah,
Oh,
probably
yeah.
right.
I know exactly what you mean. Oh, yeah, dead right. They've got like a lot of advantages, haven't they?
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, like, I think if you're
Yeah,
in charge of those top teams, you do start from a point of preference, preference,
yeah,
don't you? Because you've got the best resources, the best players, the best
yeah,
coaches.
yeah. When you look at the odds the bookies give, they don't go far wrong, do they? And it's all based on
No,
stats and facts, and so yeah, that's
No, absolutely. So staying with the Dragons then, Mike, like I say, you spent 5 seasons down at Ronnie Parade. What are the highlights and favourite memories from your time?
um. I'm trying to think. Well, we had. I'm trying to. I can't remember actually the big wins we had. I know we beat. I think we beat Perpignan at home.
Mm,
In the European Cups. We had some really good European days. And then I'm trying to think. I think we beat Leicester as well, but I don't know.
we probably did, yeah.
I have to fact check that one. I can't remember so well, but yeah. But I just love playing for Dragons. It was brilliant, and we had some yeah. Just I think we remember beating Cardiff. I think. Um,
That's a rarity nowadays,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
beating
I think.
Cardiff.
I'm trying to think when that would have been. It's like sort of would have been. I think maybe the because Cardiff were at the real low ebb as well. So I think us beating them meant they were like going in the Parker Pen, and I remember the the Dragons
Excellent.
fans chanting Parker Pen to the.
The good old days.
And Cardiff had a reason. I think Craig Cornell was playing in that, but we were on top. So that would have been probably in the early couple of first two couple of seasons, maybe the second season. So probably the
Yeah.
best Dragons team I played in was probably the. So 2004, 2005, and we had a few boys over from the Warriors. I think it would have been that season. So we were pretty strong then. And finished
Yeah.
that when Chris Anderson was a coach. So
Mm.
that sort of season we went on a good run at the start of the year.
That was strange with Chris Hansen because he's only here for 1 season. He was Australian coach, wasn't he, if I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
correctly?
Australian rugby league coach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he
he was
did a
like,
pretty good job. And he
yeah.
lasted a season. I don't know what happened there.
I think he
Do
was
you know
quite.
what happened, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think Chris was like, yeah, he was pretty like unbelievable character. But even for me as well, he was amazing for me because he just
Yeah.
he said, just said, you just told me like you're an awesome player, you're brilliant, like go and be smash this sort of thing. And he was just like us honestly as a player, that's just what you want to hear. So it was yeah, I enjoyed playing under Chris, but he was an interesting character.
Mm. So are you going to pop down to Ronnie Parade anytime soon then, Mike, to
I
catch a
was
game
due
or?
to like obviously it's a bit of a trek, but it was last year. There was like I think they tried to put on like a foreign players event, but it was
Yeah.
the European Challenge Cup game that got postponed, and they ended up playing up at Astramanna.
Oh, against the Lions. Yeah, the
Yeah, so
pitch was frozen.
it
Yeah.
was that game. There was like going to be a big reunion, I think, but they haven't done another one. But yeah, I'd love to come back in that sort of format and do that. Yeah, so love to have an invite at some point to go back. It'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose I'd love to see you back at Ronnie Parade, I'm sure. So
Yeah,
hopefully the club will get
the
that
thing would have
sorted.
been amazing. That former players thing would have been brilliant because there's a lot of like good guys and good people. It'd be amazing to have that sort of catch up and stuff with yeah with the players at the ground and stuff and do that. So yeah, hopefully they manage to get another one going.
Yeah, absolutely. So since 2013, you've been director of rugby at Haileybury College. So
Yeah.
what does your role involve exactly then,
So
Mike?
yeah, I qualified as a PE teacher after I finished playing,
Okay.
and then uh, became director of rugby at Haileybury. So basically, just running the rugby at Haileybury. So you've got really good like rugby programs in the independent schools, and good traditions. Jamie George went to Haileybury, so he's
Oh,
obviously
okay.
the most famous son, I guess, and Chris Wiles as well.
Mm.
Played for Saracens for a fair bit, and then recently, since I've been here, I had like Nick Asikwe, another guy called Capelli Pifoletti, and then there's a couple of boys. So a boy called Finn Newton played for us last year and went over to Toulon, and signed for them, and a boy called Fraser Rawlins is signing for Saracens as well. They both played England 18s last year. So yeah, we had a number of good players and stuff at the school. We've got a really good rugby program. And yeah, just like running the rugby basically, and I'm also a housemaster as well now. Within that, so it's pretty full on role and pretty enjoyable. But yeah, I've been really lucky. It's a really great place to work, and a good school. So yeah, it's just been good fun.
And
And you've
what's the
been there a while.
facilities like? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm assuming
we're
they're quite
pretty
good. Yeah,
fortunate. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a beautiful, it's a really beautiful school. And got like yeah, really amazing grounds and stuff. So it's a really nice place to work, and yeah, I very much enjoy it. So it's good.
I was going to say, you've been here a long time now, Mike, isn't it? Over
Yeah,
10
yeah,
years, so
like
you must
no,
be
12 years now.
enjoying it.
Yeah, so it's 12 years. Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
It's a good place to work.
And what kind of schools are you playing against? Are you playing the Harrows and the Wellington colleges and people, or?
So we are probably just a bit below that. So it's like in English rugby, or English schools rugby, there's like a real like sort of top tier schools. So like Seba and Millfield who run really
Mhm.
strong programs, and then the schools like big numbers and stuff. So like your Wellingtons and Harrows, and then we're probably like just sort of below that. And then like yeah, so just probably just below that, but like like I say, got some really good players and have some good sides, and there's really good rugby played in England on that independent school sort of
mm,
circuit and stuff. So yeah, it's good.
excellent. Gav, anything else from you before we wrap up? I'm conscious of
No,
time now because we've taken
Yeah.
like nearly an hour
yeah.
of Michael's time on this Sunday evening. Okay, brilliant. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Great to chat to you. Giving up your time to speak to us, and yeah, keep up the good work at the school.
No problem. Really nice to speak to you guys too. I'll send you the invoice in the post, all right?
Brilliant. We look forward to that.
Yeah, Jamie
Okay.
deals with all the financial
You're not
stuff.
supposed to laugh. Yeah, it was a pleasure, and good luck with the podcast and stuff. It's cool, and hopefully you see Dragons and Wales turn into winning sides in the next 12 months or so.
Oh, that's the dream. We'd
And
love that, won't we, Gav? That is the
I'd
absolute
take
dream.
12 years, to be honest, Michael, but 12 months, yeah.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. Dreams can come true,
Yeah,
can't they?
definitely.
So,
All the best, guys. Lovely to meet you. Take
Thank you,
care.
Michael.
brilliant.
Thank
Take care,
you.
Mike. Bye
Cheers,
now.
guys. Bye. Bye.
Here we go. And that was Michael Owen. That was an interesting chat. Gav, enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah, really, really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great you could join us. The 2005 Grand Slam is my favourite, though. Just because of the rugby we played and winning it for the first time in 27 years. It just felt so special, didn't it? It was
I, I,
major.
I think for me, it's up there. I also love the first Gatland one, just because I remember watching the game against England with my teammates at the club I'm at now, and just watching them kind of drain of life as we strangled the life out of that England team, and Gavin Henson just kicked everything.
Oh, shave away, Gavin, shave away. Immortal commentary from Eddie Butler, wasn't there?
And I just remember that game. I think it was 2008. They had Leslie Vainikolu playing on the wing, and massive runner.
Yeah.
But every time Henson got the ball, he looked where Leslie Vainikolu was, and he was deep, and he kicked the ball to Leslie Vainikolu, knowing that Leslie Vainikolu couldn't kick the ball for toffee. And just he ruined Leslie Vainikolu's life that day, I reckon.
No, absolutely. Yeah, great memories.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
really
the
enjoyed that.
2005.
Yeah.
I still in my head, Martin Williams' second try. I've done. I was watching it with my in-laws, and I stood up on top of the sofa. Their dog was barking. I'm holding my head, and my hands going. Ah!
Oh,
And my
great day.
father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, just looked at me going, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Oh, brilliant. Just before we go, a shout out for Dragons A, who won on the weekend, 38-17. So they followed up the Dragons development. They walloped the Scarlets development, and they followed that up with a very impressive 38-17 win over Osprey's development in St. Helens Sports Ground in Swansea. So, yeah, that's good, isn't it? Nice to see your Dragons team actually winning, even though it is a development
To
team.
quote David Brent, that's the real quiz.
It certainly is, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Gavin, thank you for joining me as always. And thank you to our sponsors, Riverside Sports Bar. We'll be back next week with another special guest. God, we really are spoiling our listeners. Fair play. But until then, take care and goodbye.
That was The Dragon's Lair in association with the Riverside Sports Bar Newport, an American-style bar with a proper Welsh feel.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.